Hello and welcome to this second edition of New Dimensions in Brass, the show that covers all things brass from around the world. Today we're concentrating on the huge array of musical talent that our friends in the Netherlands have to offer. We catch up with three of the leading administrators in Dutch music, Bjorn Bos, Peter van Diepen and Jappie Dijkstra, and we talk about the recent Dutch Open, the Dutch Nationals and of course the WMC 2022. Jan de Haan joins us to talk about some of his recent works and his life in music as he reaches the ripe old age of 70. We hear a selection of music from the recent Dutch Open Festival, not only by local bands but also from students at the excellent Conservatoire in Groningen. And we're also joined by Lode Violet and his stunning Violet Brass Quartet. Not to be outdone, the girls from Vlam show us why the saxophone is so very, very cool. It was my real pleasure to recently head over to the Netherlands and host a panel discussion with Bjorn Bos of the World Music Contest, Peter van Diepen of the Dutch Nationals and Jappie Dijkstra of the Dutch Open and lots of other festivals. The full discussion can be found on our YouTube channel, and it's a fascinating listen into the different musical culture in the Netherlands and how they go about their musical business. Here are just a few highlights. Hello and welcome to the Prins Claus Conservatoire here in Groningen in the Netherlands, and I'm joined today by three of the giants of music in the Netherlands. To my right is Peter van Diepen, the chairman of the Dutch National Brass Band Association. To my left is Bjorn Bos, the artistic director of the fabulous WMC, the once every 4 years event that encapsulates the world. And next to Bjorn, my old friend Jappie Dijkstra, who looks after the Dutch Open, the Stichting Kroon Festival, and many other things. Go around the table first of all. Peter, your event at the Dutch Nationals is the first in the calendar that's going to be coming up. How are preparations going?
Well, let's hope so. It goes on, because we have preliminary entries finalized now. So 33 bands wanted to go to the Dutch Championships end of October. Normally it are 45 bands, but 33 is a good number. We see especially the top three divisions. There's 100% entry. There's a very eager to go, but the main problem is in the lower divisions, the fourth and the third section.
Because we have three totally different contests.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Peter has a test piece.
Yeah.
We have a program, and Bjorn has a test piece and a program on the next day.
Yeah.
And especially the bands internationally in the top, they like this idea to have a full program of 40 minutes in Kerkrade. They love this as well. But a band can choose where they want to go. If they go to the Nationals and our championship, they have a totally different format of contest. You use closed adjudication for the test piece and open for the program. And that was a decision was easy to make, because if you have an artistic program and you see some arrangements of some or compositions or a soloist, immediately they will know.
You know who it is. Yeah.
Of course you will.
But the whole test piece discussion is a discussion we have at WMC. I think of the last 2 years it's going on, the whole test piece discussion. I think the test piece works very well if you work with brass bands, because you have the same people sitting there, it's the same instrumentation.
Yes, it is.
So to compare one brass band to another brass band with the test piece is very good. But if you're talking about wind bands, and especially at the WMC festival, you're dealing with wind bands, for example, from Norway, where you have wind bands for 45 people.
Yes.
They play the same piece as a Spanish wind band with 120 people with 40 clarinets. You can't compare it. So we are discussing that whole test piece thing, and I think for brass band it works very well. But what we will do as WMC in the future with the test piece, that's still discussion now.
Okay. Let's concentrate on the brass band side of
Yeah.
the WMC. You've got a list of bands who you've invited, which
Absolutely.
hasn't been released or revealed anywhere yet
So,
until
now.
today, Bjorn. So you have the stage of the world.
No, yeah, well,
Who've you invited to the
well, what we
contest?
do, of course, we have our 4 divisions. We have
Yeah.
the concert division, the elite division, and that's the division where we invite the bands
Mhm.
personally.
Yes.
So what Jappie and I did was look at the world rankings, and we thought about a kind of championship, champion league kind of competition where you have 12 countries who represent, or one band from one country
Yes.
plays in
Yeah.
the competition.
Yeah.
So, well, I can tell them, but we watch it. Everybody can look it up, of course, the world rankings, and the number 1 is being invited for WMC. So from the Netherlands, we have Schoonhoven,
Yes.
as we all know, is the number 1 in the Netherlands at this
It's the
moment.
current
world
national
ranking.
champion.
Current
You're allowed to
national
cheer,
champion.
Peter.
From Belgium, we have Willebroek, Brassband
Yeah.
Willebroek. Germany, the 3BA band. France, Paris Brass Band. Austria, Ober-Österreich
Yes.
band. Switzerland, Valesia. Norway, Eichanger. The USA, we have the brass of the Potomac.
Potomac. Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Washington.
New Zealand, the Wellington Brass Band. Japan, for the first time, a Japanese brass band, Immortal Brass Eternal.
Yes. Fantastic.
What a name.
And then the 2 of England, so Wales, the Corrie Band, and Yorkshire, the Black Dyke Band.
Yep.
So that are the 12 bands, 3 intercontinental bands and 9 European bands that got an invitation for the elite division for WMC.
That if all of those accept,
Yeah.
what a lineup. Thank you, gentlemen. A real pleasure and an insight into the Dutch music culture and approach. I dare say we could learn a few lessons here in the UK from our friends across the North Sea. One of the most respected composers, arrangers and adjudicators in the Netherlands is Jan de Haan. A lifetime spent in music and hugely respected not only in his homeland but around the world. This year he celebrates his 70th birthday and we caught up with him through the magic of Zoom. Jan, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
And we're going back to normal, so that feels good. Music events will start again, and from this month I will start judging again at the Dutch Brass Band Championships in Utrecht.
Well, this edition of New Editions in Brass is concentrating solely on the music scene in Netherlands, from composers and bands, arrangers, administrators, the huge depth of talent that you have in Holland. Now, one of the bands who we have featured in today's show is Brass Band Rijnmond, and they are playing your fantastic composition, The Baltic Way, which was commissioned for the cancelled European Championships in Palanga for the youth section. First of all, a great shame that that got cancelled, but secondly, tell us a little bit, Jan, about the piece itself and where the inspiration for the piece came from.
The Baltic Way was a demonstration by the people of the Baltic states in 1989. And it was a cry for independence from the Soviet Union. From Vilnius to Tallinn, a 600-kilometer long chain of 2 million people was formed. That's incredible, isn't it? That was the longest human chain ever in the world. And in fact, at that time, the independence of the Baltic states began. This historic event was a source of inspiration for my composition. In the first part is called Struggle for Independence, and it's based on a nocturne for piano by a prominent 19th century Lithuanian composer. The thematic material of this nocturne is the starting point for my composition. For a moment in this first section, the beginning of the Soviet Union's national anthem sounds in the low brass.
Yes.
But that's pushed into the background by the rest of the band with the beginning of the Lithuanian national anthem. I think that's a striking moment in the first part. So you hear the desire of independence here. Decades of Suffering is the second part. Life during the occupation of the Soviet Union is expressed here. And in the last part, plans are made for peaceful protest. A human chain was formed through the Baltic states. So it was called the Chain of Freedom. I think it's a good test piece for the premiere section, but as you know, we still have to wait until 2024. Only then will the European Brass Band Championship be held in Lithuania. But I understand, you told already, you have already a recording by Brass Band Raymond, and
Yes.
I look very much forward to hear that.
Yeah. So is the piece still going to be the test piece at the 24 championships? Yeah.
I understand from the people over there, yes.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Because I've listened to it and it is stunning, and it'll be such a test for the youth section, but it makes a great concert work in its own right anyway. And trust me, Brass Band Ryman did you very, very proud. They played it superbly well.
Okay, thank you.
Good. So
I look forward to hear it.
Well, if you stay tuned for the next 5 minutes, Jan, you'll hear it straight after your interview, which will be great.
Okay.
So you said you've got some major judging competitions coming up internationally. What else has the coming year got in store for you, Jan?
Yeah, most commissions. I have some commissions, one for brass band, two for fanfare band, and one for concert band. So enough work to do.
Now, you said you're going to be adjudicating at the Dutch National Championships. We're going to be there recording everything for Brass Pass TV. The championship section test piece, The World Rejoicing by Edward Gregson, is going to be the world premiere of this, much awaited, much delayed, much rearranged and much postponed. What are you looking forward to in this work, Jan?
Oh yeah, it's a great piece. It's a great piece. It's so musical. It's extremely difficult, but it's a great piece based on a choral, and I look very much forward to judge that, and I think we will have some very good performances.
Well, I'm sure, as always, Jan, we'll make time afterwards for a little liquid refreshment after all of our work is done on the day. Thank you very much for joining us for New Dimensions in Brass today, and I look forward to seeing you in Utrecht on the 30th of October. Thank you, Jan. A very happy birthday to you, my friend, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Join us after the break when we take a look at the festival weekend that replaced this year's Dutch Open. Welcome back. COVID has been no stranger to the Netherlands this year, and one of the casualties was the hugely popular Dutch Open Championships Festival that usually features bands from not only Holland but across Europe as well, with some very special guests. However, remaining undaunted by this, organiser Jappie Dijkstra arranged a weekend festival under very challenging circumstances, and we were lucky enough to cover this for the show. Held in Groningen in the northern part of the Netherlands, the festival opened with a terrific concert from brass band Rijnmond under conductor Chris Derricks, making his debut concert with the band despite being appointed well over a year ago. Our thanks to brass band Raymond, Chris Derricks and their longest serving player Dick Van Doorn. We wish them all a long and very happy association together. They were followed by a thrilling concert from brass band Skonhaven, the reigning Dutch champions and in great form. And it will take some performance to take the crown away from them at the end of October in the Dutch National Championships. Terrific stuff. Our thanks to both bands who put on fabulous concerts for us under extremely difficult and trying circumstances. This region of the Netherlands has real musical talent, a lot of which is nurtured through the Conservatoire in Groningen. We caught up with some of the students, both past and present, to tell us of their experiences and what life after music college holds for them. Gabriek Gradenus with a fantastic rendition of Philip Wilby's second movement. Congratulations, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
Now, we're also joined by Stefan de Groot. Now, Stefan, you are a former student here, a member now of the alumni. Tell us what your journey was like through here.
I started studying. I started first with a pre-year with education. What's called in English? Classroom teacher for music.
Yes.
But well, that wasn't so much my thing. And then I started in the first year with. I first played baritone, and then I switched to tuba. So I finished that, and after that I did my bachelor's in wind band conducting.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I understand you're a conductor now.
Yeah, I have two fanfare bands. It's a typical Dutch and Belgian way of banding, and I also conduct one brass band.
Where do you find the time for 3 bands?
Well, that's my full-time occupation. So I have 3 evenings during the weeks that I've rehearsed with these 3 bands. The 4th evening I play myself with the Provinciale Braasband Groningen, PBG, and during the day I also teach all brass instruments.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, you were telling me a little bit earlier, Stefan, about one of the bands that you're conducting. When you started with them, they only had 20 players. But now you've got upwards of 60, a youth band, a starter band. That's wonderful. Now, tell me how you went about that.
Yeah, it's the band where I grew up playing myself. So when I started there, it was a really small group of people. We had luckily a couple of quite good players. So the band didn't fall apart. But then when I started here studying here in the conservatory, I quit the band playing, but then I started conducting the youth band, and 2 years later I also got appointed as the conductor for the band itself. But it was only like 20 people something, and we had a plan of doing a lot of things with the primary school in the town to try and get more people with the youth band and. Well, luckily we managed to get a lot of young players, and from that we always try to have a good atmosphere in the band. So not only focusing on winning contests or something, it's more about the fun of playing together and trying to improve the level of playing overall in the whole band, and then. After that, sometimes we do win a contest because of the level of playing just gets better.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like a fabulous model, because to involve children at a very young age and involve them in the community, involve them in the local bands that they're growing up with, you're capturing them from that very young age. And there's so much competition now for the time of young people and the activities which young people can do. So it's just great what you guys are doing over there. Tell me, both of you, what are the opportunities now for music students graduating from places like this conservatoire to go into full-time careers in music in Holland? Is it a good place to be, or is it a tough place to be at the moment?
Yeah, it's hard to say, I
It's
guess.
hard, yeah.
Depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're going towards the military bands, it's just, well, there has to be a vacancy and then maybe you're lucky. But if you're teaching, you have to build, and you have to start with a few students and just grow and grow. And I think the same with conducting. If you have one band when you're studying here, and then you can expand that, but it's definitely difficult. Yeah.
But you're in your final year now, Gabri. What is your plans for once you graduate?
I want to do a master's, so
Okay.
I'm planning to study a bit more. Yeah.
So you'll be back here.
No, well, I think I'm doing my master's somewhere else.
Okay,
so, yeah.
perfect. And for the next 3 to 5 years, Stefan, what's your plan looking like?
Yeah, well, as I just told you, the more I get older, I focus more on the conducting bit, and I really enjoy that, and I really feel like I'm in the right place when I'm conducting with wind bands. So that's something I just really enjoy the development of the bands. It's not so much about just the level of playing. I can have a lot of fun with a low-level band, but if you see the progress in a couple of years, it's for me that's a lot of fun. And of course, I like to sometimes go to a contest, and of course I want to win. But that's for me that's not the biggest point. I think it starts with the development of the band itself, and then the contest they follow.
Yeah, and it's a great attitude to have. Finally, I just want to ask you, and I don't know if it's the same as what it is in the UK, that we have so many young players who get to a decent standard but not necessarily want to go into music as a profession or as a career. So when they go to university or college, they end up stopping playing, and then we've lost them forever. Now, we have a new, well, not so new now, maybe 10 years old, system in the UK now called Unibrass, which brings together all these players into brass bands and gives them that link and that bridge to carry on playing with afterwards. Do you think that is the same over here in the Netherlands, or do you think you're losing many players to education and to new careers and to family life? And what do you think can be done more to encourage those players to stay playing music?
Yeah, well, so I definitely think it happens a lot. People go away studying and they often move to the other side of the country. And some cities have great student bands with wind bands or whatever, but some cities also don't, and there isn't much opportunity. So I think if there were anything that could change in that area, we should have more student bands, but not just symphony orchestras, but also wind bands or brass bands, because I don't think there's quite enough of that yet.
Okay, well, let's get that message out there and get more and more people carrying on playing brass instruments. Now, it would be very remiss of us to have two fabulous musicians here and not to ask them to play again. So, guys, would you mind, we've not planned this, but would you mind doing a little bit together for us?
Well, I always have my tuba with me for just
As you do.
just in case.
A man who always carries his tuba
I'm
around.
fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff. What are you going to play for us, guys?
I have a piece. It's for two celli from Bois Mortier. Maybe we can play that.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Sounds good to me. So, this is Bois Mortier's cello duet or sonata for cellos. Fantastic. Let's hear the guys play. That wasn't bad for a jamming session, was it? So, very, very well played, guys. It's been a real pleasure talking to both of you and meeting both of you today. Best of luck with both of your careers going forward. And if the rest of the students in this conservatoire are as half as good and half as talented as you guys, then it's something very special. Our thanks to all the students and staff at the Conservatoire for making us feel so welcome. Join us after the break when we take a minor detour from the world of brass to feature another superb ensemble from the Conservatoire, and you'll be very glad we did. welcome back. Whilst this is a brass show, we heard the most amazing saxophone quartet in Groningen. That is a collaboration between staff and students and who now play all across the Netherlands. Their playing is just incredible. They're called Vlam, which in English translates as flame, and they certainly raise temperatures with their rendition of this traditional wedding classic. The Willebroek Band in Belgium is one of the finest in Europe, conducted for many years by the inspirational Franz Weiler and led on principal cornet by the equally inspirational Loder Weiler. Loder and his Violet Brass Quartet were the special guests at the festival, and what a pleasure it was to hear them play and to catch up with them afterwards. When did the quartet start?
Yeah, we founded the quartet at the beginning of January for a program for the Belgian National Radio for classical music. And they made a program the 20s. So yeah, I was invited to play in the program, and yeah, it was fun to play with this quartet. And it was the first choice immediately to play with these musicians as well. Yeah, and I think in Belgium, it's maybe the best choice I could make to play with those guys as well.
Who decides the repertoire?
We all decide about the program, so there is not one guy who just is making the decision to play. We have to play these pieces. We were looking on the internet, by example, just because there is not a lot music for, especially for sax or brass quartet. So it's very difficult to play a lot of music originally for quartet. And if you choose one, it's mostly you go back to Winter, Eric Ball. So it's very rare, but it's fun playing all other kind of styles as well. Overtures, lovely for quartet as well.
The Violet Brass Quartet bringing today's show to a thrilling end. As with all the sections on today's show, you can catch up with the complete performances on our YouTube channel. Enjoy. Well, we open today's show with news of the WMC 2022, and we close today's show with the very exciting news that our own company, IBB Media, has been selected as the recording and live streaming partner of the WMC. Not only shall we be bringing you all the action from each of the competition weekends next year, but lots of concert performances during each week of the month-long festival, daily live broadcasts from the festival village, and all the latest news and happenings from this incredible festival. Work has already begun on content planning for next year, and we are thrilled to be so heavily involved in one of the great music festivals of the world. This year we continue our trek around Europe in November with coverage of the Dutch National Championships, the Siddis Brass, the Danish Nationals, and then the Stichting Kron Festival in the Netherlands. It's going to be a busy month. Thank you very much to our sponsors for today's show, and thank you for joining us again. We'll see you all very soon, and bye-bye for now.